For this problem, we're going to need to use the formula we learned last section to solve for force of the magnetic field and the acceleration. First, what is the formula that solves for force of the magnetic field? It's FB equals QVB sine of V. Now we know the charge because the charge of a proton is known. So we know that. We don't know the velocity. We know the magnetic field, which is 1.2 milliteslas. And then we know, because they're perpendicular, phi is 90, so sine of 90 is 1, so we can just ignore that part of the equation. So now we have FB equals QVB. Now what is a equation that solves for V, that has V in it? We have the kinetic energy, so it would make sense that it would be kinetic energy equals 1/2 mv squared. Now, the kinetic energy is in mega electron volts, so we need to convert that, which we'll do over here. So 5.3 mega electron volts equals 1. And then there's 1.6 times 10 to the negative 13th joules in 1 electron, or mega electron volt. So that gives us 8.48 times 10 to the negative 13th joules. So now we have that value, we can plug it into the equation here to solve for V. So V equals the square root of 2k over m, which equals 3.2 times 10 to the 7th meters per second. So now that we know the velocity, we can plug that back into our force for the magnetic field. So we have FB equals, and then the charge of the proton would just be 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th. And then our velocity we solved for here, and we got 3.2 times 10 to the 7th. And then our magnetic field is in milliteslas, so 1 millitesla is the same as 1 times 10 to the negative 3 teslas. So that would just be 1.2 times 10 to the negative 3. And we would end up with the force of the electric field is 6.1 times 10 to the negative 15 newtons. Now that we have the force of the magnetic field, we need to solve for the acceleration. So what is an equation that has the force and acceleration in it? It would be F equals ma. Now to solve for a, we would divide by m, so a equals F over m. Now we know the force we just solved for in the last equation. And we know the mass of a proton because it's given. So that's 1.6 times 10 to the negative 27. And we end up with 3.7 times 10 to the negative 12 meters per second squared. So this is how you would find the force being an electron. You need to first write down the equation that you know for force B and figure out what parts you still need to figure out or solve for. And then you can use different equations to solve for velocity, which we were able to use the kinetic energy since we were given that. And then you plug that back in and you solve for the force B.